Oh, hi! I'm in the very final stages of overhauling my crafting studio. Once I finished this last chunk of stuff up, I thought it would be a perfect time to take you on the tour, because when it's the cleanest is the time I want to show it off the most. I'm actually just now reassessing and kind of taking inventory of all the stuff I've been selling at comic book conventions for years. I am at the point now where I've had this stuff for so long and it's just taking up space that I'm kind of gonna do like a clearance rack of stuff at the next art fair I do and the next comic book convention I do, just to get it out. So if you want stuff I've made for super cheap, that would be the time to do it, is to come to those events. These are all the infinity scarves I made like 4 years ago that I still haven't sold. I have a bunch of these ruffle scarves in Hogwarts house colors, and then I have some like one-off. Oh god, this fabric is so good. I always debate about taking some of my own stuff for my personal wardrobe, but then I'm like, no, this fabric was expensive and you should not get high on your own supply. I even have some of my older costumes I'm gonna have out too that I don't necessarily feel are the quality I want for my Etsy shop, but I kind of want to go to a new home. I put so much work into them, I don't really want to throw them away, and maybe someone will want it for like 10 bucks. I have like my Sally dress and my Hot Rod costume. So in addition to clearing out a lot of that older stuff to make room for the new cooler shit I'm more excited about, I have a ton of like little things I made. I don't want these sitting around anymore. So I think I'm just gonna give things like this away, and actually some of my older projects, like my Awesome Mix Volume 1 mixtape that I turned into a wallet out of an old cassette tape, and like my DFTBA necklace, like just really old projects that I, again, put a lot of work into and was excited about the project, but I don't need to use them. So if someone thinks it's neat and is like, hey, I like that, they can just take it. In a couple weeks, February 16th, 2019, in Lowell, Massachusetts, my application got accepted for an artist table at the Mill Number 5 Bazaar. It's from noon till 4. This is specifically the nerd market, which, you know, seemed fitting. So I'm gonna have a bunch of my new stuff there. I have a bunch of cool new display things I'm very excited about. So excited I can't even use words. So I'm gonna have that stuff out and like premiering my new things for the first time in person. And I'm also doing the Queen City Kamikaze Con in Manchester, New Hampshire on March 23rd, aka the weekend of my 30th birthday, so please come hang out with me. I'll post a Facebook event link down below in case you're in the southern New Hampshire area and you want to come check stuff out, or just, you know, take a bunch of free shit. Please, I need the space. So I am going to time-lapse this final stage, then show you what the new room looks like. Okay, let's get into the tour now that I cleaned up my mess. I have a new corkboard. This is one of 3. I wanted to put something on the outside of my studio door so that when I came in, it would be the first thing I see. So yeah, I kind of have everything broken up. These are Etsy orders, side work orders, not a ton happening over here, but I've been getting like 1 Etsy order a week, and that's more than I expected, really. I just sent out a custom Pikachu onesie. I got to make it in a plus size, which, if you didn't know, I make those kinds of things in my Etsy shop to order. Your size does not matter. I both understand and get super irritated by other stores and companies charging more for plus size items. I get it does entail more fabric, but also as someone who falls in the low end of the plus size category, I'm very tall. I need to order bigger sizes all the time. It is a little, I don't know if degrading is too strong a word, but it doesn't make you feel great when you have to pay more just because of your size. So I don't want that to be a thing in my shop. I did have to charge more for this particular order just because he has a tail hanging off of his. The original design I have, it's like embroidered into the back, because my personal preference on anything is I don't want stuff sticking out of the back. I want as little between me and the comfortable furniture I'm sitting on as possible. Okay, so one of my sections on here is for my monthly Patreon commitments. So things that I need to deliver to you guys every month. So I have February's all set up down here so that I kind of know ahead of time if there's perks that need to go out at the beginning of the month, if it's like physical things I need to mail out. The only thing remaining for January is the monthly Q&A video. Now, if you are part of my Patreon, this means you get an exclusive video every month. Nobody's missing out on regular content on my YouTube channel, but you're still getting an extra little something. All right, let's come into the shop. Here is one side of the room that you see a lot. I try not to get the mirror in here. This particular corner hasn't changed too much since my last craft room tour. Still have my beloved dress form. I haven't used it for as much lately, but I also haven't been making myself clothes, so in due time, in case you want to see how clean the floor is. Here's the biggest thing that I changed about the shop. I have a bunch of spots to store clothes. Now this is clothes for material, clothes for just regular alterations, things that need little fixes, but I had all of them jumbled together. I need specific piles or else I just look at it and I'm like, that's a lot to deal with. I'm not touching any of it. So I have separate allocated areas for each type of sewing project the things are for. So this drawer is just like a catch-all random material. That's not a good example of my organization now. Down here, these are all things that I even put notes on some of them. I really like, but maybe there's a hole in the shirt, but I really like the cut of it. These are for me to just copy over onto a new garment. So that's all of this. And this does not seem like a crazy daunting pile, which is nice. I have a bunch of patterns in here and any of my sewing reference books. My little tiny stash of cam snaps. Holy shit, these are like revolutionary. Thank you again, Jeanette, for those. And then these bins are for dedicated projects. So like all of this material is going to be for pajama shorts. These are all scraps for my watch rolls and my Ramona Flowers subspace bag. And then some other things that will be coming to an Etsy shop near you. Up here are my scrap bins. This is scrap of weird material. So there's some velvet, there's some nylon, there's a bunch of fringe. In here, this is my faux fur and flannel bin. These go together because I'm going to be making some bomber hats. Then I have my knit scraps and my woven scraps. And these are brocades and fleece scraps. And then this is a bin of old garments that are specifically to use the material from. So I'm not using this coat to turn into a specific item. I don't have an idea for that yet. If I need green plaid in the future, I'll know where to find it. Now the corner you see all the time, my desk. None of the posters back here have changed. I did swap out this, so this is solely an inspiration board. Decorations are all the same. I maybe have a couple more event straps, lanyards. They're called lanyards. I did move this spinny thing up here because I was constantly reaching for things and I wanted to open up the rest of my desk, which you'll see in a minute. I keep my laptop and my new drawing tablet that I'm making new stuff with and I'm really pumped about. It was like a $50 drawing tablet, so I felt like it was worth the investment for the stuff I've already made with it. Electronics department sits on top of my sewing case down there. This is kind of like a pile of shit that needs to go to conventions for a giveaway table. Yeah, same old piles of thread, paintbrushes, all of my pencils and things. Over here is much more functional and I love it. So I have my serger here, but I actually put it away in my rolling sewing machine case when I'm not using it. Once that's packed away, I have this entire table open. Everything in here is pretty much the same. It's all my knitting looms and my plastic canvas and embroidery hoops over here. This is pretty much the same setup as I had before. I do have specific fabrics like silks and satins, interfacing, lace. I have a bunch of ties because one day I'm gonna make that fucking Kelly Clarkson skirt from Justin to Kelly. I didn't even like that movie and I didn't even like the skirt. Something about it, I can't let it go. I've had those ties for about a decade and I just need to make it. This is a blanket I need to either fix or use the stuffing from. I'm undecided. As I mentioned, my rolling carrying case, this is where my serger goes. Down in this little bin is older cameras, as in old video cameras and then like actual cameras. I'm not fucking around when I say old cameras. Really attractive noise, huh? My graduation cap and my high school diploma and my Dremel lives down here. Kind of odd stuff I don't really have a home for otherwise. This shelf here is just for makeup. I have my sweet ass caboodle that I got for Christmas. You've probably noticed I've been doing my makeup more often and that is why having everything so neatly organized like that and it's very accessible to just carry it around. This is my travel sewing case. If I need to do a lot of hand sewing or something, I haven't used it in a while because I don't often need to do that. All my playbills. I used to have these hung up in a frame. Oh yeah! I forgot. I both got to see Hedwig and got to meet Darren Chris. Yeah, a bunch of foam heads with my wigs and hats. And I use these locker shelves for display on my artist tables. A bunch of growlers and jewelry boxes. I just dropped a very cute picture. Thankfully, this is a frame from Goodwill that didn't have any glass in it. But look, it's a little tiny me with my Grammy on my dad's side and my sister looking very enthusiastic about hanging out with us. This picture makes me very emotional if I look at it too long. So before I get into that, I'm gonna put this away. This is actually a jewelry box that my mom and my brother refinished. That was from my other grandmother, so my mom's mom, and they put one of her rings in it, so I cried like a baby when I got it. And actually, this green jewelry box here is from that grandmother, so both of those are very special to me. All of this is very special to me. I mean, I guess the growlers are give or take, but these are like my special mementos. This is probably my favorite part of the entire sewing room. It's all of my fabric. This is 2 wooden crates deep. Just recently reorganized all of my fabric and I did not have any idea how much I had. Not to mention the 3 yards of Parisian lace that one of my best friends got me while she was in France. I do this thing where I am very precious about stuff. I want to wait till a special project to use it, but then it also just sits for forever. Anyway, back down here. This is my Cricut again. Not that this is going to turn into a Cricut channel, but I have used this so many times. I have been getting more into like traditional art mediums lately. This was a drawing that I turned into a Cricut cutout and a Panic at the Disco painting I did. This isn't even done yet, but it's based off of a joke that A.L.B. in Wonderland and her wife Nico were making about a bug's wife. And I did little Hedwig eyes. Hedwig and the Angry Inch, like the playbill I just showed you, not Hedwig the owl. Nothing against the bird. Hogwarts outline. I think I'm gonna sell these at my artist table too. They're so fun to do, but I don't need 20 different versions of the Hogwarts castle skyline. This is one in progress. Clearly, it's beautiful. But then that turns into this, and it's great. This one has like little stars and stuff. I mean, I did this painting a few years ago. I acknowledge it's not very good, but I got the idea out of my head, so now I don't have to think about it anymore. I only have so much space in my brain. And then this is all just stuff for my Cricut. I did a custom order for some handsaw stickers, and I was working with the client on the size and everything because we didn't really know what it was gonna look like. I just kind of wrote down the measurements on the cardstock samples I printed. Or print cutted? I don't know. These black bins are just my jewelry making stuff. It's not really that exciting. This is my little like movable cart from IKEA. T-shirt quilt is happening up here, and there's a couple like in progress projects. I mean, this has been in progress for, I don't know, 4 years now, but it's on wheels, so I like that cart. Ooh, and that has revealed the 3rd corkboard of the shop. This is where I moved all of the little notes and sketches I have for actual ideas for projects. I used to have all of these notes, all of the inspiration pages, and all of my activity notes all on the same corkboard, and it was just too much to look at. So now I have 3 because they were just laying around the house. So this one is the one I like the most because it has all the fun stuff I've come up with on it. I definitely needed to separate things. So now I don't like have my eyes glaze over when I stare at things. I can actually make sense of what I'm looking at. Speaking of, this also got an overhaul. As I mentioned, I needed to separate my clothing piles into like what their function was. This is all stuff that is just little fixes. This sweater needs new buttons on it. I need to redo the lace panels on these because I did a shit job sewing them. Maybe I'll do like a sewing project update on those. And this in here is more than a simple fix, but still with a specific intention. So rather in the to be used for scraps pile, this is all stuff I have a specific project in mind for. Definitely needs heavier alterations than just, you know, reserging a sleeve or something. This is all fleece for Pikachu onesies and hooded scarves. I'm not entirely sure what to do with this yet, but it's all hands, feet, and heads from those like Invisible Man costumes. And then there's yarn for things I've already been making. So like my Jane beanies. Actually, yeah, mostly just Jane beanies because that's what I want to stock up on the most before this art fair. There's a specific secret new Etsy product that's coming out that may or may not have to do with a forest sprite. Stay tuned for that because I'm even more excited about that than the Pikachu onesie I made. Just leave it at that. And then I do have another kind of like catch-all bin. It's also on wheels, which I fucking love. Movable everything. This is my brand newest edition. It's a garment rack. And you may be asking yourself, don't you have a garment rack directly next to where you're standing? Yes, I do. But I need one for my art fairs because now I have full-on costume pieces. I want a bigger way to display them instead of just having them balled up on a table. I want a hanging device. This rolling rack was $12 goddamn at the store. Very excited that it wasn't a huge investment. Going to come in handy immediately because I have that art fair super soon. The installed garment rack is all the costumes I've made. Stuff like this is what I'm looking to get rid of at the events. Obviously the plaid doesn't show when you're wearing this. It's not really like a high quality costume, but it also still looks dope as hell. I just want just to go to a good home because that's some of the other stuff on here, like my Kaylee Fry jumpsuit. I mentioned my hot rod jumpsuit. I have my beer cardigan that I did. I never wear it because it's kind of partially cropped. Yeah, the rest of this is costumes I will continue to wear, such as my Dr. Frankenfurter lab coat that I made, all the accoutrement. It just ties in the back, and I think if I made a slightly nicer version, like finished the edges, that I could totally just sell these in my Etsy shop. Pretty easy to make, and I have a ton of this fabric, so I could do it for pretty inexpensive. That's not how that sentence should have gone. My Ramona cosplay. I need to redo the bag because the applique I did came off. It would have been fine had I not had to throw it in the washer on like a heavy cycle, but I went to get gyros with some friends and I got sauce all over my purse. This is still my favorite costume to wear. I love it so much. And then my Hedwig outfit. Oh, this one's a close second. I don't know that as many people would get it, but I feel like a real badass when I wear this. This is my kind of random yarn bin. There's not a specific project I'm working on it for, or it's just kind of like nice and I can make just regular hats and scarves with it. It's not necessarily themed around something. That's what this stereo is for. I actually have another stereo reconstruction plan very soon. I mostly need to do it soon because it's taking up space in Lego Boyfriend's workspace, so I need to do it and then get it in here so I can use it for storage. It's likely gonna live up here where I have my, well, polyfill, but also convention display stuff. So this is my scarf stand. You can't really see it. And my little like pirate chest, I use that for every convention just because I love how it looks. It used to be all Legos up here and I had to put a lot of them away just to clear space, which, you know, is part of being an adult. But I had to leave the monster castle because it glows in the dark. And then the very last corner, this is kind of more traditional craft supplies, I think. It's like beads and wire, Xyron sticker machine and like old markers, perler bead bin, a stove thing. Don't worry about it. There was a cosplay that was going to happen and it is no longer going to happen. My duct tape and my seed beads. Then I have taken apart dragon head, dinosaur head, whatever. And then these suitcases have all of my inventory, all that stuff I was packing up before, like the infinity scarves and ruffle scarves. They're taking up space anyway, so why not stuff them with shit? One thing you haven't seen in the way is these lights because they take up all the floor space. So I've kind of been like migrating them around the room as I've been filming the various corners. Those and the tripod you are on and my chair eat up like all of the floor space. That's the updated studio tour. If you have questions about particular corners you want, the Q&A would be the perfect time to ask that. I'm gonna spend the rest of today and this entire weekend hammering through new stuff for my Etsy shop and for those art fairs. If you're around southern New Hampshire / northern Massachusetts, please come hang out. I don't know if you ever had to learn about the textile mills in Manchester and Lowell. They were a big deal in like the Industrial Revolution. The buildings are really cool. Not that they're functional textile mills anymore, I don't think, but Manchester and Lowell are kind of like sister cities. Maybe there's a rivalry between the two. I don't know. Obviously I know what side I'd be on if that were the case, but they're both really cool towns trying to do cool stuff for local artists. If you want to keep an eye on my Etsy shop or order anything over there, I'll also throw that in the description. If you haven't been to my Patreon and want to check it out and come hang out over there and get to do stuff for the Q&A videos, I'd love your input. I'll put a link to the Patreon up here. And if you want to make sure you see what shenanigans I get up to in a couple days, because I'm posting every Wednesday and Saturday now, feel free to subscribe. So I'll see you on Wednesday with my end of the month adventure vlog. This is the boring corner where I file my taxes. I don't know, money makes things weird, but you also need it.